part 2 of chapter 9 from Flying with Shamans. It's going to be a very short video because my laptop blipped us off just as I was just reaching the last few paragraphs, which is very annoying and frustrating as we were doing so well. Technically I still had enough time, so I don't know what that was about. The genie in my laptop creating bloody havoc. So I'm a bit annoyed about that. But you know what? I'm tired, but I'll keep reading the rest of this end of this chapter, and I'll continue with chapter 10, and then this book will be completed. But I'm rather annoyed about that interruption because I was planning to read chapter 10 separately another time after I've had a rest, probably tomorrow. But now I might as well forge ahead because otherwise it's a ridiculously short video. Anyway, so I've decided part 2 plus chapter 10 will be read in this video. Right. We blipped off just as the prince said to the princess, "Don't you recognize your former bridegroom anymore?" As she heard these words, she fainted. When she regained consciousness, she called for her father and said, "Dear father, when you have lost an old key and have a new one made, but then find the old one, which one is the best?" The father answered without hesitation, "The old one." "Then this man here is the best groom," she exclaimed, "because he is my liberator, who delivered me from my misery, and now I want to marry him at once." The father agreed with everything. The pageant went straight away to church, where they got married. The wedding party lasted 8 days in a row, and both lived peacefully ever after. Fairy tale from Niedersachsen, Germany. Right, so now we begin chapter 10. Tales about healing. I was going to ring my friend at the end of this chapter, but now it will have to wait. But anyway, he didn't take my course for 2 days, so now he can wait. Kismet, c'est la vie, babies. But he did keep his promise to call me this morning, and it's not his fault that I was in the middle of the story, so Kismet times 2. But time frames get distorted sometimes. Mama T's on a job, got to complete her task. Even annoyed me that we got blipped off by my laptop. So here we are. I'll show you again the healing. It's a bit like Ubuntu. There's someone in the middle and all the people surrounding, working together in community and in unity to assist. That's how I interpret that little drawing anyway. Healing, making whole. And shamanism is not recovery in the sense of returning to the state before the illness. Healing is a transformation process incorporating the patient's emotional and spiritual aspects as well as his or her physical state. Nana Nauwalt, who is the author of this wonderful book. It's true, you don't always come back ever the same again. You're not meant to. It's part of the aging process and the experience, and every illness changes or leaves some kind of residual trauma or memory, or sometimes a gift too, depending on what it is you've come back from by the gods. Everything that a female or male shaman consciously does is healing, depending on the cultural background. Healing occurs in visible and invisible performances. Because my laptop's doing, we may get chopped off again. My cursor's moving around by itself. That's not good. That implies I've been hacked, doesn't it? Just wanted to see if I blocked the camera, if it made a difference, and now the cursor's stopped. Freaky shit, man. Anyway, we'll continue on with the story. It's hard to tell if it has a gin or if I've been hacked now. No, there it goes, moving around again. Anyway. Let me repeat that sentence. Depending on the cultural background, healing occurs in visible and invisible performances, and although the means and techniques may vary, still the healing practice is directly connected to the state of consciousness in which the shamanic community is at home. The healing of the individual is a happening in which the community always takes part. When the individual is ill, the community is also. Illness indicates that the organisation and the life pattern flow has been shifted to a state of stagnation and confusion. Healing rituals and shamanism try to find ways to renew this shift in the order of things. Healing, making whole, in shamanism is not recovery in the sense of returning to the state before the illness. Healing is a transformation process incorporating the patient's emotional and spiritual aspects as well as his or her physical state. A traditional shaman seldom says, "I heal," but instead points out that he or she sees the movement. After seeing the illness and its cause, the voices of helpful spirits on the sidelines will tell the shaman in which way the illness can be healed. Every illness has a special vibration, a soul. In healing rituals of traditional shamans, the shaman often has to fight the spirit or soul of the illness, even at the risk of his or her own health. But there is also another mighty obstructing spirit against which the shaman continually has to protect him or herself. The jealousy of people who not only fear the powers of the shaman, but also envy their prestige and might, without realizing that they too have to carry the burden of this work on their shoulders. The Tree of Dreams. Near the mouth of the Chinche in the Iriri River, a peculiar piece of rock protrudes above the forest. The rock looks like a held-out hand. Many shamans visit this rock to communicate with the stone, richer in wisdom from the experience they then returned to their villages. The rock is not just a dead stone. It is the miracle healer Uwesa, who spent some time here as a human. This is his story. Initially, Uwesa's life was not unusual at all. He loved to fish, loved the hunt, and was falling in love with a beautiful girl. With her, he built a house by the river. Now he thought he ought to have some children as well. But then he found in the forest a dark tree with a lot of animals sleeping beneath it. It was a miracle that the different animals lay so peacefully together, slumbering, while they absolutely did not live with each other like that when they were awake. For instance, a harpying bird next to a capuchin monkey, or a viscachus mouse next to a margay cat. But before Oasa could even think about that, he also was struck by a paralyzing fatigue. He sank to the ground beneath the tree and immediately fell asleep. He awoke in the dream world. The ancestor Sinae appeared to him and directed him through the mystical aspects of the real world. Uwase got acquainted with plants and animals, with manifold magical interconnections between plant beings and animal beings and their deities. Sinae taught him the art of selecting from this plurality of plant and animal spirits, and to adapt to the will of the spirits. Oase learned the magical powers of nature in order to serve humanity. The ancestor then called upon him to apply the received abilities only honestly. Therefore he should refrain from every superfluous pleasure. Finally, the ancestor said that Uwase was allowed to always come back to the tree of dreams to get some rest. When Uwase woke up, he was rested but hungry. He took some bark from the tree and ate it. Immediately his hunger was gone. Uwase felt great powers coming up, and he jumped into the river. Without any effort, he could catch any fish. With a rich catch, he returned home. He had so many he could share with the whole village. His wife asked him why he had spent 7 days in the forest. She had been worrying about his life. Uwase's nature was changing. Having been a cheerful and daring hunter, he now became a serious man. He ate just a little and became skinny. Again he returned to the Tree of Dreams to learn still more about the secrets of life. Uwase carried out his first healing with a boy who had been bitten by a poisonous snake. That was not remarkable, since many women also knew about herbs to heal snake bites. The second healing, however, was a miracle to everybody. Using smoke and singing, he healed the Kazik's daughter, who was already at death's door. Purifying and healing, Uwase first went from house to house, then from village to village, and finally through the whole country up to the Amazon. Everywhere he performed miracles, he became a very respected man. This prevented him from being home much. His wife felt lonely and was sad because she did not have any children. Uwase was able to read people's minds, asked his wife to bear her fate while she was busy healing all people. The powers he had received from Sinae were a holy duty. But the woman did not agree with such selflessness. She started to see another man. When Oasa returned home one day, he found his wife in an intimate embrace with this man down by the river. The woman suddenly felt ashamed. I cast ye out, evil one. Get out of my laptop. Now. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Always something. The woman suddenly felt ashamed. She jumped into the river and changed into a fish. Her lover then announced in the village that, out of envy, Oasa had changed the woman into a fish. Oasa's father-in-law got angry when he heard about the loss of his daughter. I will tell you only once. I cast ye out. Now! It's really weird watching this thing. It's probably some hacker, probably, who's laughing at me now. Little do they know. You've just pissed me off. It'll rebound on you. Laptop's been dying for some time though, so I'll calm my farm. He decided to kill the miracle healer, the father-in-law of the daughter, you understand, not the hacker that's messing with my laptop. I did pay for actual protection from a company in Ireland and it wouldn't work on my computer, so I had to cancel it, and they didn't even give me a refund. $89 wasted on nothing, did nothing. So now I have this situation. Livid, people of Earth. But anyway, scammers are everywhere. The father-in-law invited Oasa to a party while everyone was drunk on chicha. It would have been easy to overpower the healer, but Oasa ate and drank very little. She had read his father-in-law's evil thoughts. When the man armed with a club drew near his victim, Oasa quickly turned around with fiery eyes. With flashes of lightning he hurled the villain to the ground. This should have been enough as a punishment and warning, but the humiliation made the father-in-law's hatred toward Oasa grow even stronger. Every day he went by the houses, telling everyone about the atrocities Oasa actually committed instead of healing. A man who performs miracles has a frightening effect on many people. So it was not very hard for the troublemaker to conduct in the village a smear campaign against Oasa. Suddenly, everyone was convinced that Oasa was an evil sorcerer who brought mishap to other people and thus was a great danger to the community. They decided to execute the healer. After some time, the father-in-law accidentally met Oasa by the river. He acted very nice and had a friendly chat with him. He told Oasa that his daughter's accident was now past history, and it was time to bury the discord between both families with a celebration of reconciliation. Oasa accepted the invitation, although he could read his father-in-law's murderous thoughts. He did not want to believe that such a sneaky crime could happen in the presence of all the people there. On the night of the festival, the flutes were playing and the women and men were dancing to please the spirits of the forest. They all ate whatever delicacies the river and forest could offer them. They also drank chicha abundantly. But there was a group who remained aloof with dark intentions. When everyone was drunk, the men threw themselves at Oasa from behind with the intention to kill them. The healer noticed that now not only the father-in-law but almost all neighbours in the village meant to harm him. bit like living here opposite, those creeps across the road. Pre-cyclone, isn't it? The bastards. This was a bitter disappointment to Uwesa. He did not want to fight against these deluded men, but he also did not want to be their victim. The father-in-law and his evil helpers suddenly found themselves charging at a rock that rose up from the ground. Uwesa had transformed himself into this rock in the form of a held-out hand of peace. It rose above the village and bizarrely protruded above the woods and the river. The men, aghast, came to a halt. The other party guests were also dismayed. Disconcerted, they came and stood in front of the rock, and here and there reproaches were heard. These became more passionate and numerous, until everyone in the village was fighting with someone else. The people yelled at each other that in their foolish stupidity they had destroyed the wonderful powers of Uwesa instead of being thankful for his healing benefactions indeed. Everyone else would despise them now. They blamed each other for this wrongdoing. They argued so full of hatred that no one wished to live with each other in one village anymore. Everyone took their possessions and moved out. They spread into all directions. Nobody knows where the tree of dreams stands. Everybody is still looking for it, but no human has ever found it again. Legend of the Juruna, adapted from Dietmar H. Meltzer, Regenwald Märchen, with kind permission. The Juruna live in the Parque do Xingu in the Amazon area of Brazil. The Juruna today constitute only about 70 people. Their primal ancestor is Sinae, a jaguar human. According to their belief, the world will come to an end when Sinae removes the fork-shaped stick that supports the sky. The next story is called The Man Who Smiled. Once there were a woman and a man who had such an enchantingly beautiful and charming little son that everyone who saw him said, "He is just too beautiful to be the son of his father or mother. He reflects the beauty of our Creator on his face and in his being." And that was true. Little Alexei was in his essence so beautiful that he aroused in all the people who met him the beauty of their own essence. When other kids tried to provoke him, Alexei just laughed so heartily that soon enough, out of pure happiness, they flung their arms around his neck. One day when the little Alexei went alone into the forest, he came upon a bear mother with her young. Out of fear for her young, the bear mother was about to leap upon Alexei in order to tear him up, but suddenly she stopped, laid herself before the boy, and began licking his hands. Soon after, Alexei was playing with the bear young as if he was one of them. The bear family drifted deeper into the woods, and Alexei tried to make it clear to the bear mother that he was not able to go further into the forest with them. Slower he walked, but the bear mother would turn to him and pull him by his sleeve back to her young. Pardon me. Alexei stood still, took the bear's mother's big head between his little hands, quietly looked into her eyes, and said, "Although I would love to stay with you and the little one, look, I am not a little bear. I have no fur to warm me, only the shirt, and underneath I am naked. Even if you were to put me between you both, a part of me would remain unprotected, and I would freeze in the winter time." The bear mother understood this. She sighed one time deeply, licked him tenderly over his face, and followed him with her eyes while he slowly walked back towards his village. Never would the little lad forget that the bear, one of the most dangerous dwellers of the forest, had taken him under her protection. When Alexei grew older and stronger, he became a protector of the forest creatures and the people who needed his help. The first people he helped with nothing but his smile were the senior citizens of the village. Many of them suffered from painful dental problems because those last few teeth often cause more pain than the first little teeth. Tell me about it, by the gods. Often the old ones could not sleep at night from the pain. Alexei listened smilingly to them while they told about their misery. And his smile had the effect that the oldies said had cast a spell on their teeth. For many hours they forgot their pain and were able to sleep peacefully and quietly. Much suffering was healed by Alexei without his even knowing. If a young girl had a broken heart and she saw Alexei passing by, all her grief evaporated as soon as he looked at her. The young men often followed him on his way through the village and told him about their bad luck in love. Alexei had no experience in love, so he just listened silently. And even though he said nothing at all, he made the young men feel comforted and encouraged. When Alexei went into the forest, he soon was surrounded by squirrels that came and sat on his shoulders, rolled their tails around his neck and gnawed their pine cones. Thank you, Spirit. Alexei felt so good among the animals of the woods. Over and over again, there were some animals that needed extra attention from Alexei. But what about Charlie? Was she not the last of the sacrifices? They just told me there is no sacrifice. What was Charlie then? Her time had come. I bloody well hope so. I bloody well hope so. As I was robbed of her light and her love. but she had been unwell for quite some time, so I must be at peace with that I was unable to save her. For example, there was an ugly old wolf that had been expelled by his pack. His adversity had turned him into a bitter wolf. His eyes were always wet with tears, and his only ear had no strength to prick up any more. But when the wolf saw the boy appear, he wagged his bitten off, poor little piece of tail. Alexei listened for hours to the old wolf, who told him about the humiliations he had to suffer. As the old wolf got to know Alexei, he felt increasingly better. I'm just going to brush in my hair. I prepared it earlier knowing that my hair would dry during the making of this video. Still actually a bit damp at the back. Interesting. Yeah, scrubbed up a bit better, the old Mama T. She with her spirits and her ancestors that love her. Scrubs up from time to time. Well, hopefully I'll go dancing tonight if I'm not too exhausted from making these videos. Let me just repeat that. As the old wolf got to know Alexei, he felt increasingly better. Relieved by telling about his misery, he soon was able to raise his head into the air and cry out his sad song to the heavens, like every other wolf. We may get cut off, it's doing weird things again. One day after Alexei had been listening to him for a long time, the wolf's tears flowed so profusely from his moist wolf eyes that after this they became clear again, and a very wild light was ignited within. So the wolf became a real wolf again. Blessed be. Nothing like coming back to life in your own mind, body and spirit and soul. Alexei preferred to stay with his best friends, the reindeer, deep in the forest. Often he thought he had been a reindeer himself because they were so near and familiar to him in their behaviour. Just like them, he preferred to remain in the silence and peace that had settled here before them in the course of centuries of their soft lives. If the forest soul had a voice to Alexei, it would be as lovely as the soft sniffing of the reindeer rising up to him from the moss. He admired the way they trod so lightly upon the mossy ground, as if they did not want to disturb anything living there. He was their brother and their protector, and they did need a protector because the glutton often prowled around with bloodlust. The glutton was known as the evil spirit of the woods because he often killed only out of pure lust for the kill. Alexei knew that wickedness often is the result of a huge loneliness, and sometimes all that is needed is a little love to turn evil into friendliness. He talked often and for hours with the glutton and showed him many possibilities to find food and entertainment without doing injustice to anybody. The glutton listened and wanted to be Alexei's friend. Yet the next morning there were 3 more animals dead in the forest meadow, and there was the glutton standing with pride over his kill. Then Alexei understood that words cannot do everything with every being indeed. He waited until nightfall. Then, with his knife, he skinned one of the dead reindeer and disguised himself with it. He walked on his hands and feet, imitating the movements, of a reindeer. Then, in the light of the moon, he saw the glutton sneaking across the meadow, unseen by the reindeer grazing there. With wild jumps, Alexei chased after the reindeer, which immediately took flight and jumped away in all directions. Beside himself with anger, the glutton was about to jump at the reindeer Alexei, when Alexei uttered a piercing shriek, threw off the skin and raised himself up before the glutton. The glutton fainted from shock. Never again did he attack the reindeer, because he was much too afraid to feel his friend Alexei between his teeth. Alexei had so much to do with people and animals that it did not even occur to him to find a wife. So his concerned parents arranged this for him. Alexei, his father stopped him one morning. Do you know Masha, our neighbour's daughter? Yesterday she confided in me that her heart beats so fast when she sees you that at night she cannot find any rest. Alexei, you should not let her suffer needlessly. Take her as your wife. You concern yourself about the whole world, but you let her suffer. Moreover, she has promised me 3 cows if you marry her. Although Alexei was used to obeying his father in everything, he asked to wait 7 days before the marriage. He needed this time because a young girl whose legs had been paralyzed for years on end needed his help. That girl, Anya, lived with her blind and deaf grandma, Aglaya. Grandma still saw and heard with her heart even better than she had ever been able to with her real eyes and ears. In Grandma's heart a fierce fire always burned, but Anya's body was always cold. It just did not get warm. That cold will one day rob me of my granddaughter, said the old lady. My old body is too dried up to give her the warmth she needs. Then Alexei took off his clothes and laid himself next to the little girl under the reindeer skins. Day and night he kept lying there with her, and Grandma waited next to them. She saw with her heart how death slowly, very slowly, released the girl from its embrace, and like a listless night bird left her granddaughter. Alexei told the girl, do not be scared of the dark shadows and spirits. They only spread fear and cold because they do not receive any love from anyone. They will lose their powers when you show them you have no fear of them. Exhibit A. Just saying, for which I called upon the wrath of God. No, I have not forgotten, and I'm not over it yet. Not wise to send evil to the Tanya. It will be turned from darkness to light, and it is the light that will wreak vengeance. Why did I say that? I don't know. It just came to me. It's not my darkness you should fear. It is my Holy One sending protection to me and all who love me truly. The rest shall wither away, fade away, return to their appointed places in the multiverse, where they can do no more harm to anyone, imprisoned by their own darkness and their own hate. Then he told her about the forest and its dwellers, how the little reindeer learn from their mothers how to find food beneath the snow, how the bears gather the foxtails and adorn their holes with them. Oh, don't you dare. Are we still filming? Isn't that interesting? What is going on with my laptop today? Right, we'll carry on. I cast you out, demon jinn, from this laptop, or whatever's causing these weird anomalies. Just shrunk down to a minimised screen without me touching anything. I send you back to your original source from whence you came. Wither away. Right. I'm not joking either, quite serious. Trying to perform a service here for the gods, for no one else. Now I'm exhausted and I need to do my groceries and I need to rest so I can do my wild dance tonight. I don't need any more delays. I really don't. No more delays, no more mischief. Right, where were we? How the bears gather the foxtails and adorn their holes with them. How the sun warms the sleeping rivers in spring, and after the long winter silence makes the water sing. We're near the end. Hopefully I'll be able to finish these last few pages without any interruptions. This and more he told her in the 7 days and 7 nights he spent next to Anya. At last, on the 7th day, Anya was able to move her legs for the first time. I hear how the blood is singing in my veins and is breaking the iced flows, she said. Then Alexei jumped out of bed, wrapped the girl in warm skins and carried her outside into the woods. He laid her down in the moss where a young reindeer was just learning to walk. The little one stood on its 4 little stick-like legs and did not know what to do with them. He waddled to and fro, fell down, tried 1 step again, and sat down again, sighing. Anya, help him, said Alexei. Excuse me. You have only 2 legs, which is much easier to walk with than 4. Show the little one how you use your legs. He held Anya up straight and then let go of her. With great effort, she took one step forward, and the little reindeer took one step backward. Excuse me. Anya laughed and the reindeer tipped over. She helped it up again on its feet and both supported each other. Suddenly they both walked next to each other as if they had been doing it all their lives. It was a splendid day for the three of them, for Anya, the little reindeer, and Alexei. At night he brought her back to her grandmother, who took her in, blissfully happy. Then Alexei got ready to celebrate the wedding party with Masha. Now a restless time began for Alexei, because every day Masha would ask him if he loved her. "Why wouldn't I love you? One should love all creatures, no?" Alexei said. This made Masha angry and she said, "But don't you love me more than any other?" "Love cannot be measured," said Alexei patiently. One night Grandmother Aglaya came and whispered something in Alexei's ear. He rose to his feet and prepared to go out. "Where are you going so late at night?" asked Masha. "Aglaya's granddaughter is doing worse again. I have to bring her medicine." Alexei went, and in the morning he came home again. And when in the morning he came home again, he found Masha in tears. She sobbed. "Your medicine must have been very heavy, that you needed all night to carry it to her." Alexei was very amazed at Masha's behaviour and said, "Anya's legs are still not quite healthy yet. Now and then she needs warmth only I am able to give to her." Then Masha was struck by an evil sickness for which Alexei did not know any cure. She forbid him to visit Anya and chased away everyone who came to the door asking for Alexei's help. Alexei asked her to tell him what Anya or those other needy people had done to her. Masha remained silent. At last she said, "Man and wife are one body. Touching another body means an offence to the Creator." Sadly, Alexei walked into the forest and shared his troubles with the trees and animals. He also met his friend, the glutton, and told him, "I succeeded in healing you from your bad habits, but I know no remedy against the evil spirit that has overcome my wife." It's called jealousy. When he was back at home with his wife, she said, "I want you to stay with me all the time and not go into the woods any more." "Is your spouse then a stone that one always takes along out of fear of thievery?" asked Alexei sadly. So now he stayed at home with Masha and looked languishingly at the newborn calf that was skipping happily on the meadow in front of the house. "Tie me up on a rope and keep the other end in your hand, so at least I will be able to move around the house a little." So Masha tied him up on a rope so Alexei could go behind the house, be on his own for a while. But all the time Masha pulled the rope to be sure that he still was there. Alexei thought about all the people who needed him and were waiting for him, but he also thought about his wife being ill, so he went back to the hut. There was Masha asking him why he had stayed so long outside. He got on his knees before her and begged her to yield a little more love for him. But she said, "If I turn you loose, you would immediately get into bed with Anya." If only she would come along, she would see that I don't ever think of betraying her, Alexei thought. If I remain here with her, she can never become healthy again. Prisoners and guards always live in the same prison. When I free myself from her, I will free her from herself as well. Wise. So the next morning, he freed himself from the rope around his leg and bound this around the calf's neck. Masha pulled hard and long at the other end until she understood which fish she had on her rod. 3 days and 3 nights she cried her eyes out. On the 4th day, people saw her walking through the village. They saw how, for a long time, she observed a young man who was almost as beautiful as Alexei. The forest and the animals welcomed Alexei, and they watched over him without a rope. When the stars were high in the sky, Alexei secretly went into the village and visited the sick. People only had to see their brightened faces the next day to know that he had paid them a visit. At night, a bird came and pecked at my pain and carried it away. In its beak was what those who had been healed would say. Many years passed until one year many animals in the forest died, mostly reindeer. Then one morning a beautiful scent spread throughout the village, a scent that people had already smelled during the night. It smelled like fresh moss and roses. It was such a pure scent, like a heavenly breath fallen upon the earth. That night they found Alexei stretched out next to a young reindeer that had died at the same time. They buried him in the forest in the shadow of an old pine tree. Out of his grave, where his heart was, grew a small tree. The sick would take a piece of bark from it and lay it on a painful spot. Youngsters would carry a piece of bark on their chest as a remedy for a broken heart. And again, at night, people saw reindeer and glutton standing peacefully together under the old pine tree. Story of the Skolt Sami, Finland. The end. The complete end. The end of this book. There's a bibliography, but I won't bother reading all the titles to you. So, blessed be, people of earth. We got there in the end. This book is completed. My journey with you through this book is complete. And the magic is completed. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the space-time continuum, and be at peace. Be happy, be free, be in love with the ones who truly love you back and have your back, your front and your sides, your people, your partners, your true friends, and family, your pets, and the earth upon which we walk upon.